TGIF. Second cast of the morning. He got a face full of jerkbait. I'll tell you what, this guy tugged too. I really thought it was a smallmouth for a second. "17.5-inch bar gold to start the morning." Nice fish. Nice fish. So, I didn't do much of anything yesterday jigging when that east wind. Now looks like it's a due south wind. Water temps have skyrocketed in the last 4 days. I'm in shallow. I'm in 8-9 foot of water, casting in towards shore. It's pretty broken up rock in here. And again, I thought that fish was a smallmouth. It could have easily been. You'll catch either or in here. Not much weed on this piece of shoreline. I tend to think, and it's counterintuitive to me sometimes, but when in doubt, go shallower. Find structure, whether it's a weed edge, whether that's a rock bar, whether it's a shoreline. These walleyes live just as shallow as they do deep. That's something that the walleye world is finding out more and more and more as the years go on. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, boy, it was only out in the heavy depths that people would even think about catching a walleye. That's not the case anymore. So I started my Friday morning off right. Stay tuned. Let's see if it's a pattern. Well, I'm about 4 casts later. That was a little bit of brain surgery right there on his eyeball. That looks like almost exactly the same size. 17.25. All right, I'll go through a cast real quick and just show you. The cadence is what it is. I mean, I try different things until I find something that they bite. I'm not doing necessarily a set cadence of the jerk. This is the Rapala Shadow Wrap. This is a size 10, I believe. It's the first bill up from a shallow diver. This purple color and that flash on the side, this really is my favorite jerkbait. I just have so much success on it. I have other ones, I throw other ones, but this one produces on this lake for me all the time. So here, I'll go through a couple casts. Now, part of the trick is not only am I snapping back on a slack line, but I throw the line back to the lure with my tip. So it's boom, 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 and then every time out I go back this way. It's a little tough to see. Let's see. Turn the camera around. And it doesn't have to be, you're not trying to rip it out of the water, and you watch your bait that last 10 feet, and you'll see it. And it doesn't take a lot of tip movement to really get that jerkbait to go like this, side to side. I take a quarter of a turn of line up every time. You can really cover, you can speed it up. You can really cover water fast. So I'm on the back of my own boat, and I'm tossing. I've got my trolling motor set going into the wind along this edge. And I got my trolling motor set at about 0.5 to 0.7 on autopilot, and it just takes me right up through here. And that way I can be back here, because I mean, I could do it up in the front. I just don't have electronics up there to see really where I'm at. But then I cast quartering into the wind like this, and then as I fish it back, by the time it gets back to the boat, it's off the back corner. So I'm covering water like this, and I'm doing just that. Now, I've had 2 fish within 20 feet of either side of that little white buoy right there, that pin buoy. Now I could sit here on spot lock and pull out some sort of a jig and really work that area through. In the mornings like this, when I don't have a ton of time, I don't typically sit still long. You got to get on them right away, and you got to make the most of your time. You know, like I say, it's 10 minutes to 6 right now. I've been out here for 20 minutes or so. Then I got to leave by 7. So I only have so much time. And again, if I really found a huge concentration of them where I caught a fish every cast, I would definitely stop and pick it apart with something else that's a Ned rig, some sort of a crawbait on the bottom in this shallow rock. That's where those crayfish live. And people are like, oh, well, you don't catch walleyes on crayfish baits. Liar. I catch a ton of them all year long. And a walleye is an apex predator. They don't care what they're eating. If it's available, they'll eat it where they are. And these crayfish are everywhere. So keep that in mind. But that, I mean, I digress. I'm talking about throwing a jerkbait. But like I say, if I was using any search bait and really found all of a sudden I hit 4 or 5 fish right in a row, at that point I'm going to spot lock and I'm going to pick it apart and see what else is there, because this is a reaction bite. And how I feel about that is that reaction bite will only catch the most aggressive fish in the area, in the school. Whereas a finesse bait, slow, methodical, light line, that could theoretically catch them all. So I use one to do the other. Now today I'm not going to go finesse. I'm going to stick with this program, but it's fun and it works. So don't be afraid to try it. All right, well, my old buddy Captain Tony Boofer right now is going, don't do that. I boat flipped him and broke my leader off, which I already looked at like I've got to change that, and I hadn't because I was being lazy. Thank God I didn't. Thank God I didn't lose it. It's the only one I got. My favorite. You'd think I'd take better care of it. This one's a touch smaller, 16 and a half. So I'm going to take a second and retie up a leader. I've covered a lot of water in between. It's only been about 20 minutes, but I just had a pickerel follow it up. Pretty good sized pickerel too. And I didn't see him till I was just about ready to pull my lure out of the water, and I went like this, and he come right up behind it, and he goes, "Ow!" And you could hear him. He put his head out of the water and tried to grab it, and you could hear the chomp. I was dying laughing. I'm like, sorry, buddy, you missed your morning breakfast. My old friend Captain Tony, he does not like it when you boat flip him. He wants to put every one of them in the net and bring them in the boat the proper way. And especially when I'm alone, you know, I boat flip them because I don't want to bother with the net. But every time I do it, I hear him in the I hear him in the back of my head, Matt. Oh, I love that man. He's He's strong and wise, and he's a fighter, and he's dealing with some health issues that I don't wish on anybody. And I love him to death, and I want nothing but the best for him. If you're the praying type, I don't mind if you pray for my friend. But all right, stay tuned. Let me get this re-rigged. All right, so I retied. He just by the tip of his little tippy tail broke the 15-inch mark. So that's 4 keepers so far. I got about 20 minutes left in my day, so we might just hit the limit. So I caught that fish. I broke my leader. I hit spot lock. I'm sitting in the same spot. I retied my leader, and then I stayed on spot lock, and I fan casted all the way around the boat. And I made my last cast over here on the little deeper edge, and that's when he just smacked it. So I'll do the same thing again, just to make sure that there's no, there's still not any more right here. And then I'm going to keep moving on and start covering water. Couple quick things I wanted to talk about. And again, remember, and I say this all the time, if and when anybody in the fishing world tells you there's only one way to do something, stop listening, because that's just not true. There's 1,000 ways to do the same thing, and it's just preference. It's what you figure out. It's what you like. It's what whatever the case may be. You can throw jerk baits on anything as far as a rod goes. I could very easily be throwing my bait caster right now. I typically, and I've turned this into my jerkbait rod. It just works for me. This is a JT rods. It's the 7'9" JTX mag medium light. It's got a extra fast tip on it. It's got plenty of length. I can get a lot of distance out of my cast. It's a spinning rod. I can get a lot of distance when I'm throwing the jerkbait, especially if I'm throwing them downwind or quartering downwind. I can really get them out away from the boat. I get more distance on my spinning rod than I do on my bait caster. Control, in my opinion, is about the same. I like the length of this rod. On those long casts, if they hit it out there early in the cadence, it's got plenty of length and backbone when you sweep set that fish, like a crankbait rod. I throw 10-pound Cortland master braid on it down to an Alberto knot. So it's nice and thin, and I can reel it back into my guides if I need to. Again, these are just how I do it. I'm not telling you it's the only way, because it's not. On the business end, I run a small size VMC crankbait snap. And what I like about that is you can see, as you see that big belly on it, it reminds me of me. It's got that big belly, and so it allows that bait to really swing in that snap. Now, snaps are great because you can change them in and out very quickly. You can change baits, you don't have to retie. You could just as easily be throwing this with no snap on a Rapala knot. So it has freedom of movement, but you want that jerkbait to be able to move. I wouldn't tie, I personally wouldn't tie it straight to the eye. Most all of your jerkbaits come with some sort of a split ring on the eye right there. So there's the eye, there's the split ring, and then there's my snap. You want that movement, that slashing movement, as much as possible. So I try to make it so it has freedom of movement. So I'm running 10-pound Cortland master braid down to 15-pound Cortland top secret fluorocarbon on my business end. Part of that is because there are so many pickerel where I throw jerk baits in shallower water that I don't want to lose a $15 to $25 jerk bait on a pickerel. But still, like you just saw, if you're boat flipping, you're doing crazy stuff like that, you know, you gotta beef that up a little bit. So, or anytime you come in contact with the bottom vegetation, that line's gonna rub. So I always make sure that I check them, certainly after every fish. If there's a nick, I just cut it back. I'm running about 5 to 6 feet right now, but I can cut that all the way back to about 4, and I don't think it bothers those fish one bit. So, all right, stay tuned. Let's see if I can find lucky number 5. TGIF, if I hadn't said that already. I ended up with one smallmouth after I last saw you guys. So that was 4 walleye, 4 keepers, 1 smallmouth in 90 minutes. I thought for sure I'd get that last one, but I got down this shoreline and I started picking up eelgrass. I should have went back up and stayed in the rock. I didn't do anything once I started pulling grass on my jerkbait. Not to say that they couldn't have been there, but they didn't stay. Everything I've caught this morning was over rock. So we'll see. All right. Thanks for joining me. As always, I hope this morning gave you a little bit of confidence and something different to try. If for nothing else, I hope that it shows you that there's way more than one way to skin a cat or catch a walleye in this situation, whatever you want to say. Oh, big shout out to my partner, Chuck Orlando. I'll put a picture of it up. Man, he caught a slammer catfish down off his dock. I've been itching to go catfishing myself. I saw the guy up north, up on Lake Ontario. I think he set the new state record for channel cat here in New York State. So I've been itching. Maybe one of these days I'll make up some bait and do a little catfishing either off my dock or maybe go down to Chuck's or somewhere. Who knows? So, all right. Thanks for joining me on this beautiful Friday. I will see you guys tomorrow morning. Keep your tip up.